So what are our plans for today, Dason?
Today we got a beach day, hopefully. And right now we're heating up some breakfast. Leftovers.
Bye, kitties. See you soon. There's not really much footage of the beach for a good reason, because it's actually quite illegal to film in this area. Yeah, we didn't know that though, but there's not like much footage of us on the sand or anything like that, because it would have been really creepy. Home sweet home. Alright, so Dason and I basically woke up and he's getting ready for his
volunteer work, I guess, yeah.
And I'm gonna take me a nap. So it's probably the last time you'll see Dason in a while. I mean, I'm gonna see you in the next few days. Yeah.
Alright, so I got all my stuff and everything. I'm ready. I'm about to head out. I think I'm staying in Barcelona for a couple more weeks while CJ goes to Budapest. And yeah, I mean, hopefully it turns out alright. I get paid in room and food, which is where all my money's going anyway. So yeah.
So I just had the best conversation this morning, completely on accident. So I walk in the Ona coffee shop, which I've been to the past, week, and I asked the lady a few questions about, how to ask for coffee and this and that. So we just talked a little bit about Spanish. And I asked about, there was these different coffee-looking machines, and I was kind of curious what they were about. But since they were about to close, she didn't really have time for it. So today I asked for the drip coffee, and then she just starts explaining about the altitude, how the altitude affects the coffee beans and the molecular structure. She talked about in the lower altitudes, the beans would give off more, coffee to fight off what they're for, insects. And since it is in the lower altitude, compared to high altitude, more insects means more, exuding off coffee. But you really don't want that whenever you're shipping it across and trying to sustain as much flavor as possible. So she said the higher altitude helps with since it's higher up in the air, it's hot still because you're closer to the sun, but at the same time it's cool because it's, you know, higher altitude. So it's just better for everyone. Then she offered these different kinds of ways to make coffee. I've heard of AeroPress, but there was these other 3 that were kind of a cone shaped with ridges on the side. And she explained to me about the ridges on the side and how they affected the coffee. And it was just a super in-depth conversation about coffee, which I absolutely love. And fucking this older guy talks to the other barista, telling him, "You've convinced me, like, I'll take an espresso." And he talks to the other guy about how he buys these 70-kilo bags of coffee that'll last him, you know, him and his wife 2 years. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, impressive enough that the other barista I was talking to, she asked him about, you know, how does he buy those big, huge bags and what does he do with it? And then he explained something about having a different kind of machine that they have and how he edited the chips so he has more leeway with the process, and he puts twice as much beans at different altitudes. Like, he's a coffee connoisseur. And he also talks about, you know, he just came back from Hawaii, and in Hawaii they have you know, Kona coffee, but sometimes the Kona coffee has these 1 out of 3 beans might be Kona, and it'll call the whole 70-kilo bag Kona coffee. But he said that if you find the right bags, you know, with the right coffee, it's delicious. Anyway, she starts pouring my coffee in a very methodical fashion into this little, you know, this little cone-shaped thing. And the way she said that even the way you pour it is different. And the difference between what the drip coffee is she's making, it's kind of a slower roast. It needs to be coarser, so that whenever the water is going down, whenever the hot water is, you know, taking all the flavor out of the coffee, it has time to. Versus an espresso, which is just very finely grained coffee. So, I mean, it made in, you know, 30 seconds, but you can actually taste the difference between, you know, an espresso, how strong that is, versus a slow drip coffee, which was, they're completely different flavors. And she also talked about that coffee is one of the most variated flavors out there that you can taste. Like, there are over 800 different kinds of coffee, different kinds of flavors you can taste from coffee, which is kind of crazy. She asked me to sit down, so I sat down, and she poured a little cup of, you know, coffee, a tiny little cup, and she told me that try it out now, but pour yourself over time and let the coffee cool, because as the coffee cools, more flavor will actually, you will actually taste different flavors as it cools. Which, I've never had coffee where it happens like that, and I don't think I've had coffee like this. So I tried the coffee, and when I tasted it, about 10 different flavors hit my mouth, and it's good. It's sweet on its own, which is odd for coffee because I need mine with, you know, cream and sugar. But this one didn't really need cream, but it maybe needed a little sugar, but I just have a sweet tooth. Overall, if I think I was able to add a tiny little bit of sugar, or if I was gonna try another roast, or, you know, just something a little different, because it wasn't my best tasting coffee, but it was definitely the most varied tasting coffee I've had. Still good enough to drink on its own, which is a lot better than most black coffee I've had. If you're a coffee connoisseur, I highly suggest getting a grinder and getting a AeroPress machine, or one of the machines that can actually take the flavor out of the coffee, because after having that experience, black coffee is going to be very, very bitter.